In the far reaches of the galaxy, a desperate call for help moved across the stars. The alien vessel, battered and broken, had sent a universal SOS. They believed their allies would come, trusted partners who would save them from destruction. But fate had another plan. The ship's commander, Captain Thrynak, leaned over the console, his voice trembling. "Our fleet is lost. We need reinforcements. Send the signal to all frequencies. Someone must hear us." The crew obeyed, fear clear in their wide alien eyes. They never questioned that the message might travel to the wrong ears. Far away, deep within human-controlled space, a listening array caught the signal. At first, the operators thought it was noise, a strange interference from deep space, but the computers decoded the message and the translation appeared on the screens. It was a call for help, a desperate cry from another species. The humans exchanged looks of disbelief. They were not supposed to receive such a signal. Galactic powers had tried to keep Earth isolated, calling it a death world. They feared the humans, feared what would happen if Earth became involved in interstellar affairs. Yet the signal had slipped through the cracks. It had reached the one species the galaxy never wanted to answer. The operator reported it immediately. Within hours, High Command reviewed the message. They did not see it as a plea for help, but as an opportunity. For decades, humanity had been preparing, building in secret, designing weapons that the galaxy thought impossible, and now the universe had knocked on their door. Admiral Hayes stood in the war room, eyes fixed on the glowing hologram of the alien distress call. "They are asking for help," he said quietly, "but they have no idea who will answer." Around him, the room fell silent. Everyone knew what he meant. Hidden deep in orbit above Earth rested a ship that no alien had ever seen. It was humanity's most dangerous creation, a vessel built from centuries of survival and war. Its engines could outrun comets, its armor could withstand the fire of a star, and its weapons. No one outside Earth had ever imagined such firepower. The alien crew, far from Earth, waited for their allies. They expected sleek ships with familiar emblems. Instead, their scanners flickered with static. Something massive had entered the edge of their system. Their hearts froze as the image cleared. It was no ally. The ship that appeared was unlike anything they knew. Dark, colossal, and silent. It moved with unnatural precision. Its hull reflected the light of distant suns, sharp edges like a blade. The crew whispered in fear. "What is that? Whose colors does it fly?" Captain Thrynak felt his throat tighten. "This is wrong," he muttered. "This is not who we called." But it was too late. The call had been sent. The response had come. The Death Worlders had answered. On Earth, Admiral Hayes gave the final order. "Deploy the ship," he said, his voice calm but cold. And so, humanity's most dangerous ship moved into action. Engines ignited with a roar like thunder across space. Alien eyes widened as the unknown vessel advanced. Their mistake had already changed the galaxy. They had asked for help, but what they summoned was something far beyond rescue. It was the beginning of a nightmare, the first contact with humanity's true power. The alien crew stared at the scanners in silence. Their screens showed only one shape, one massive shadow drifting closer. No signal, no greeting, no symbol of alliance appeared. It was as if the void itself had given birth to a predator. Captain Thrynak's voice shook. "Send the recognition codes again. Send every code we have." The officer obeyed, the console flashing with desperate signals, but there was no reply. The ship out too. Here remained silent, unmoving, watching. Around the galaxy, the word Death Worlders carried fear. Everyone knew stories whispered in secret halls. That humans had survived a planet of poison, predators, and endless war. That they were forged in fire no other species could endure. And now in this moment, those stories no longer felt like legends. They felt real. The alien crew exchanged panicked glances. One officer whispered, "Why does it not answer? Why is it so quiet?" Another muttered, "Maybe it is scanning us. Maybe it already knows everything." The silence of the human ship was louder than any roar. It pressed on their minds like a storm building in the dark. On board the human vessel, Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge. The crew worked in calm precision, hands gliding across controls. They did not rush. They did not panic. They knew the aliens were already afraid, and fear was the strongest weapon. "Status," Hayes asked. "All systems ready. Weapons charged, shields stable, his officers replied. The admiral gave a slow nod. Hold position. Let them feel the weight of our silence. And so the ship hovered, a predator staring down its prey. Back on the alien bridge, Captain Thrynax slammed his fist on the console. This is a mistake. We called the wrong saviors. He turned to his crew, his eyes full of dread. Pray they only came to watch. But the human ship did not come to watch. Its engines flared, glowing like suns, and the void trembled as it began to move. The sheer size of the vessel dwarfed the alien fleet. Every scanner screamed warnings, unable to measure the energy output. It was as if a small star had awakened among them. The aliens could no longer hide their terror. Some shouted to flee, others begged to fight. But deep down they all knew this was not an enemy they could fight. This was something far beyond them. Then, without warning, a light flashed across the alien bridge. It was not a weapon strike. Not yet. It was a signal. A single coded message. The translation appeared on their saws. Kreen's, one sentence, cold and simple. Your call has been answered. The crew froze, their hearts pounding. Those 5 words felt heavier than any weapon. It meant the humans had heard, the humans had come, and whatever happened next would change their future forever. Admiral Hayes watched the alien fleet on the view screen. His voice was steady, calm. Now, he said, let them understand what they've summoned. The ship's systems roared to life. Weapons hummed like the growl of a beast. The stars themselves seemed to darken around the human vessel. The aliens trembled. They had asked for help, but what they had brought upon themselves was not rescue. It was judgment. The alien fleet floated in silence, their engines dim, their voices shaking. Before them, the human warship loomed like a dark mountain in space. It gave no banner, no sound, no sign of peace. It was a shadow carved from iron, waiting, watching. Captain Thrynax could not look away. He had seen countless ships across the galaxy, but nothing like this. Even the great Empire fleets looked fragile compared to this monster of steel. This ship, he whispered, it feels alive. On the alien bridge, the crew begged for orders. Should we flee, Captain? Should we fire? Should we surrender? Their words tripped over one another. No answer felt safe. For every second the human vessel remained silent. Their fear grew heavier. Suddenly the scanners lit up with impossible readings. The alien officers gasped. No, this cannot be. The energy output. It is beyond our scale. Their computers failed to calculate the numbers. It was as if the ship carried the strength of an entire fleet within its hull. Inside the human warship, Admiral Hayes stood calm. His crew waited, disciplined, silent like their ship. They did not rush to speak. They did not rush to act. They knew the power of fear, and they were masters of us. "Ing it, Admiral," one officer reported. "Alien fleet weapons are armed but unstable. They are afraid." Hayes nodded slowly. "Then let them feel fear until it breaks them." The ship's engines roared suddenly. Space around it shimmered as if the void itself bent. The alien crew clutched their seats as the massive vessel surged forward, but it did not fire. It moved through their formation with terrifying precision. Every alien ship shook as the giant passed, its shadow drowning them in darkness. The aliens held their breath. One wrong move, one twitch of that monster's guns, and they would all vanish. Yet the human ship kept moving, silent, untouchable. Its hull bristled with hidden weapons, its shield shimmered like a storm of stars. Then, without warning, one of the alien frigates lost control. A panicked crewman had fired a weak plasma shot. The bolt struck harmlessly against the human ship's shield. The impact echoed like thunder. The aliens gasped, waiting for destruction. But the human vessel did not fire back. It stopped, turned slowly, and faced the trembling alien fleet. The silence was worse than death. The message was clear. "We do not need to strike. You already know what we can do." Admiral Hayes gave a single order, his voice calm. "Reveal the weapon systems." Panels slid open across the ship's surface. Cannons larger than cities rose. Railguns extended like spears. Energy cores lit the void with blinding fire. The galaxy had never seen such a sight. On the alien bridge, one officer collapsed to his knees, whispering, "This is not a ship. This is a world killer." Captain Thrynax felt his heart pound in terror. He now understood the truth. They had not summoned an ally. They had awakened the Deathworlders. The human ship sent one final signal, not words, not threats, but a display of power. It fired a single shot into empty space. The blast ripped an asteroid belt apart, turning stone to dust. The echo of destruction reached every alien scanner. A message without language. This is what we can do, and more. The alien fluo. It was silent. Every captain knew the truth. There was no escape, no victory. They were standing before humanity's most dangerous creation, and humanity had only just arrived. The silence after the human warship's warning shot was heavier than death. The asteroid field was gone, reduced to dust and drifting ash. One shot, only one, had shown more destruction than an entire alien armada could ever unleash. On the alien bridge, Captain Thrynak could not breathe. His crew sat frozen, staring at the scanner displays. Numbers kept flashing, energy readings, blast radius, impact force, but none of it made sense. Their systems had no scale to measure this kind of power. One officer whispered, voice trembling, "Captain, this weapon, it could split a planet." Another replied with shaking hands, "It could erase a starport in one strike." Their words cut like knives, each truth sharper than the last. The fleet of allies who had once mocked humans now trembled in silence. Every alien ship commander knew the legends of Earth. They had heard the whispers in council halls, that humanity came from a death world, where storms crushed mountains, where predators ruled skies and oceans, where survival meant becoming stronger than anything around you. But seeing the warship now, they realized the whispers had not even touched the truth. Humans had taken the cruelty of their planet and forged it into machines of war. Machines that made empires look fragile. A voice broke over the alien comms, a captain from another ship. "Thrynak, what have you done? You summoned them. You called the Deathworlders." The alien commander closed his eyes, pain in his voice. "I only wanted help. I never thought—" His words trailed away, swallowed by fear. Meanwhile, on the human vessel, Admiral Hayes stood calm as ever. The crew moved with sharp discipline. They had not celebrated the destruction of the asteroid. For them, this was only a demonstration. Their silence was not arrogance, it was certainty. They already knew no one could resist them. "Admiral," a young officer spoke carefully, "the alien fleet is breaking. Some of their ships are powering down. Others are ready to flee." Hayes nodded slowly. "Let them decide. Fear is a sharper blade than any gun." Back among the aliens, chaos grew. Some captains shouted to retreat. Others demanded they prepare to fight before humanity decided to strike. Voices overlapped, panic spread through every ship, their unity shattered under the weight of one human warship. Captain Thrynak gripped the edge of his console. His mind raced. If they ran, the humans might destroy them. If they fought, they would certainly be destroyed. The SOS that was meant to save them had become a curse. They had brought judgment upon themselves. Then the human ship sent another signal. This time it was not silent, not just a show of power. It was words, translated clearly across every alien channel. "You called, we came. Now you will listen." Every alien froze. The voice was calm, steady, and merciless. It was not a demand, it was a command. As if the humans were already in control. On distant planets, listening posts caught the transmission. The message spread like wildfire through the stars. World after world whispered in fear. The Deathworlders have answered a call. The Council of Galactic Powers trembled in secret. The very balance of the galaxy had just shifted. On the bridge of the alien flagship, Captain Thrynak lowered his head. His hands shook as he whispered the truth no one wanted to hear. "We have awakened a force that cannot be stopped." The alien fleet drifted in silence. Every captain, every crew member waited for the Deathworlders to decide their fate. The massive human warship floated like a predator. Its weapons glowed with restrained fury, and then without warning it moved. Engines thundered across the void. The alien scanners screamed with impossible readings. Energy levels spiked far beyond their understanding. The warship aimed, not at the fleet, but at a barren moon nearby. Admiral Hayes gave a calm order. "Fire one round, no more." The bridge crew obeyed, their movements smooth and precise. A single railgun shot tore through space. The soundless impact struck the moon, and in one instant the surface shattered. Rocks exploded into fragments, dust clouds spread like fire, the moon cracked and split apart, a celestial body destroyed as if it were nothing more than glass. On the alien bridge, screams filled the air. One officer fell to the floor, his voice breaking. They destroyed a moon with one shot. Another whispered, "This is not war, this is extinction." The crew stared at their trembling hands, knowing they were powerless. Captain Thrynack felt his chest tighten. He had commanded fleets, survived battles, faced enemies of great power. But never, never had he witnessed such raw destruction, and this was only a warning. His voice trembled as he said, "They could have aimed at us, but they did not." The human ship sent a signal, translated across every alien channel. The message was short, sharp, and merciless. This was only a warning. The words echoed in every ship. It was not shouted, not filled with rage. It was worse, calm, cold, absolute. The aliens realized that the humans were not angry, they were in control, and nothing was more terrifying than an enemy who destroyed without emotion. Across the galaxy, the story spread. Spies and listening stations carried the message. Empires trembled in council halls. Some refused to believe, others began to prepare defenses. But deep down, they all knew the same truth. No defense could stop what had just been revealed. Back on the alien flagship, the crew begged their captain, "Please surrender before they destroy us all." Another shouted, "No, if we surrender, we are slaves, we must flee." Arguments erupted, fear boiled into chaos, but Captain Thrynack stayed silent. His eyes locked on the monstrous human vessel. He knew running was pointless. Fighting was suicide. There was only one path left. Admiral Hayes watched them with steady eyes. He could almost feel their panic through the silence. His voice cut through the tension. "Let them break themselves. Fear will do the work for us." The human ship moved once more. Its massive cannon shifted, locking onto the alien flagship. A low hum filled the void. Every alien heart stopped. The next shot would not be a warning. The next shot would decide their fate. Captain Thrynack's voice finally broke the silence. "Send a message," he said, his voice trembling. His crew looked at him in shock. "What message, Captain?" He swallowed hard. "Tell them. We are listening." The alien fleet floated in a silence that felt endless. Their ships trembled, their crews whispered in terror. The shattered moon still drifted in pieces, glowing like scars across the void. Every alien eye stared at the human warship. Every thought circled the same truth. One more shot and they were finished. Captain Thrynack sat frozen in his chair. He had fought many battles, but no decision had ever crushed him like this. Around him, officers shouted conflicting orders. "Captain, we must flee." "No, if we flee, they will hunt us." "Fight back, we still have weapons." "If we fire, they will erase us." Voices clashed. Fear ruled the bridge, and then the human ship sent a second message. Its voice was calm, steady, without anger. "You have two choices, surrender or be destroyed." The word struck harder than any weapon. The aliens knew it was not a bluff. The humans had already proven their power. They had destroyed a moon without effort. Now their cannons were pointed at living targets. Captain Thrynack's heart pounded. He thought of his crew, his people, his world far away. If he chose wrong, all of it would burn. But pride fought in his chest. Aliens had always looked down on humans, had always called Earth a cursed death world, and now that very curse stood above them, ready to decide their fate. On board the human vessel, Admiral Hayes watched with calm eyes. His officers waited, hands ready at the controls. "Admiral," one asked quietly, "should we fire if they delay?" Hayes gave a slow nod. "If they do not choose, then we choose for them." The bridge fell silent again. Every second stretched like an eternity. In the alien fleet, chaos turned to despair. Some captains powered down their weapons. Others screamed defiance over comms. A few even plotted escape, though they knew it was hopeless. The fear was so strong it tore the fleet apart. Unity was gone. Trust was broken. Only survival mattered now. Captain Thrynack finally stood, his hands shaking, his voice cracked but carried through the bridge. "Enough," he said. "We cannot fight this." The officers froze, staring at him. One whispered, Are you saying, surrender? He closed his eyes. I am saying, if we do not, we will all die here. The human ship shifted again. Its weapons glowed brighter. Its engines roared like thunder. The void itself seemed to bow under its presence. The message repeated once more. This is your final chance. Surrender. Or be destroyed. Every alien heart stopped. This was the moment. The line between life and death was now one decision. Captain Thrynack raised his hand. Send it, he ordered. The comms officer hesitated, trembling. Send what, Captain? He swallowed hard. The words they demand. We surrender. The message of surrender left Captain Thrynack's lips like poison. His officers sat in stunned silence, some with tears in their eyes, for a proud fleet to kneel before another species. It was unthinkable. But the words had already been sent. Every alien ship across the formation received the order. Weapons powered down, shields lowered, engines stilled. They had surrendered to the Death Worlders. The human warship did not fire. Its weapons remained ready, glowing like a storm caged within steel, but no strike came. Instead, a new signal spread across the alien fleet. Admiral Hayes's voice, calm and steady, filled their channels. You live because we allow it. The words were like ice. You called for help, and you received judgment. Silence followed. No alien dared to speak. Hayes continued. You will tell your people what happened here. You will tell them what it means to summon humanity, and you will remember this day every time you think of us. On the alien bridge, Captain Thrynack lowered his head. He felt the weight of his mistake like chains around his throat. They had thought humans were myths, dangerous shadows told in hushed voices. But now, standing before their greatest ship, he understood. The stories had been mercy compared to the truth. Outside, the human vessel turned slowly. Its engines ignited with a force that bent the void. The ship began to move away. It did not chase. It did not destroy. It left, leaving only silence behind. But in that silence lay the heaviest lesson of all. The alien crews whispered in fear. They spared us. No, they warned us, another corrected. Their voices shook as the truth burned into their hearts. Humanity had shown restraint, and that restraint was more terrifying than destruction. Across the galaxy, the story spread. Messengers carried the tale. Aliens summoned the Death Worlders, and the Death Worlders answered. Some laughed in disbelief, but when they heard of the shattered moon, when they heard of the surrender, the laughter died, replaced with fear. The Galactic Council gathered in secret, their voices trembling. What happens if they are called again? No answer came, only silence. On Earth, Admiral Hayes stood in his command chamber, his face unreadable, his voice calm. They will never forget this day, he said, and he was rigged. The galaxy had seen humanity's power, but more importantly, the galaxy had seen humanity's choice. They had chosen not to destroy, they had chosen to leave, and that choice was a message sharper than any weapon. From that day forward, one truth echoed across the stars. Never summon the Death Worlders unless you are ready to face them. Captain Thrynack would remember it until his last breath. His fleet had lived, but his pride had died, and as he looked into the endless stars, one final thought haunted him. We did not just see their ship, we saw the beginning of their rule.